The night this story truly begins, the city is holding its breath. Limousines glide like black swans toward a glass-fronted gala hall, camera flashes crackle like distant thunder, and somewhere behind the velvet curtains of power and polish, a woman who never cries is breaking. Before you look away, stay with me, because what happens next will change the way you see courage, kindness, and the quiet heroes among us. And if stories that lift you up matter to you, tap like, subscribe, and let this channel keep bringing you moments that restore faith in people. The CEO stands alone in a private dressing room high above the city. Her name is Mara Vale, a name printed on magazines and carved into glass awards. She has negotiated billion-dollar deals without blinking, stared down boardrooms that wanted her smaller, softer, quieter. Tonight's gala is supposed to be another victory lap, an international charity event where she'll announce a scholarship fund for underprivileged children. The gown hanging on her frame is a masterpiece of silk and hand-beaded lace, borrowed from an archive designer, insured for more than most houses. And it is ruined. A jagged tear slices through the side seam, an ugly wound that exposes vulnerability she's trained herself never to show. Her assistant had gasped, apologized, scrambled, and then vanished to find a miracle. The clock is merciless. The donors are seated. The stage lights are warming. Mara presses her palms to the vanity, the reflection staring back at her suddenly human, suddenly small. Tears slip free, not the dramatic kind, but the exhausted kind that come when no one is watching and everything you carry finally asks to be set down. She thinks of her mother, who taught her to sew by lamplight when money was tight, who used scissors like they were extensions of her hands. She thinks of how she ran from that life, how she traded thread and patience for steel and speed. She laughs once, bitterly, at the irony. Downstairs, in a narrow service corridor that smells faintly of coffee and floor polish, a single dad named Eli waits with his daughter. He's here because his little girl, Nora, won a drawing contest sponsored by the foundation. The prize was a backstage tour and a seat near the front. Eli wears a borrowed suit that fits a little tight across the shoulders, the kind of tight that comes from years of lifting boxes at dawn and carrying a sleeping child up narrow apartment stairs. Nora's fingers are ink-stained. She grips a sketchbook like a passport to somewhere better. Eli's wife died 3 years ago, and life since has been a careful balance of shifts, school lunches, and bedtime stories that promise tomorrow will be gentler. They are escorted past the glitter, past the people who speak in smooth phrases, toward a holding area. Nora's eyes widen at everything. She whispers questions. Eli answers softly. He notices a commotion ahead, a flurry of anxious footsteps, a door that opens and closes too quickly. A voice cracks. He recognizes the sound before he understands it, someone crying the way people cry when they don't expect help to arrive. When the door opens again, a frazzled assistant nearly collides with him. She blurts out apologies, words tumbling over each other. Eli steps aside, instinctively. Then he hears the words that pull him forward like a thread, "The gown is torn. There's nothing we can do." Eli doesn't think. He doesn't analyze power dynamics or security badges. He just says, "I can help." The assistant stares at him, measuring his suit, his hands, the child at his side. "I used to alter costumes," he adds, embarrassed. "Community theater. And, my mom was a tailor." The assistant hesitates. The clock screams. Desperation wins. She opens the door. Mara looks up as Eli enters. Scissors already visible in his pocket because old habits die hard. For a split second, their eyes meet, and something unguarded passes between them, recognition, maybe. Not of status, but of strain. "I'm sorry," she starts, voice tight. "I can't, this is impossible." "May I?" Eli asks gently, gesturing to the tier. He waits. She nods because she has nothing left to lose. What follows is not magic. It is skill, patience, and respect. Eli studies the fabric, the beading, the way the dress falls. He asks permission before touching. He explains what he's thinking in calm, ordinary words. "We won't hide it," he says. "We'll transform it. If we fight the tear, it'll show. If we make it intentional, it becomes design." He asks for thread, for a safety pin, for 5 minutes of quiet. Mara sits on a stool, breathing slowly, watching hands that know what they're doing. He cuts clean lines, reshapes the seam into a daring asymmetry, anchors the beads so they catch the light differently. He works like someone who has fixed things before, not because it was glamorous, but because it mattered to someone he loved. When he steps back, the gown is no longer perfect in the way magazines define perfection. It is better. It tells a story. Mara stands. The mirror reflects a woman changed, not just by the dress, but by the way her shoulders settle, the way her eyes clear. She turns to Eli, words failing her for once. "Thank you," she says, and it's not the polished version. It's the real one.